The wizard had learned long ago that maps lie. Not out of malice, but out of limitation. They show roads, borders, elevations, and names agreed upon by committees long dead. What they never show are the places between. The thin spots. The moments when reality pauses, tilts its head, and asks whether you are paying attention. Tonight, the Roadshow stopped at one of those places. The studio was simple: microphones, cables, a low hum of electronics that felt almost alive if you listened closely. Across from the wizard sat Jessica Jones, her posture relaxed but alert, like someone who had spent years walking forests at dusk, knowing full well that the woods notice you before you notice them. The red recording light came on. The wizard smiled, not for the audience, but for the moment. The first door. Last time we spoke, the wizard began, voice calm, unhurried. We didn't try to solve anything. We just followed questions. Jessica nodded. Those are the conversations people remember. The wizard had learned that answers tend to harden too quickly. Questions, on the other hand, stay flexible. They adapt. They evolve. They invite others in. And so, they began where all good roadshow chapters begin, with witnesses. Not the loud ones. Not the sensational. But the quiet accounts. The hunters who noticed sound behaving strangely. The hikers who felt watched without fear. The drivers who crossed invisible thresholds where Dogmen sightings clustered like punctuation marks in the margins of civilization. Notice where it happens, the wizard said. Forests. Caves. Old roads. Edges. Jessica leaned forward slightly. Liminal zones. Yes, the wizard replied. Places where reality doesn't quite agree with itself. The wizard didn't call them monsters. He never had. He called them indicators. The second door from forests, the roadshow drifted, inevitably, to cities. Or what remained of them. Domes that amplified whispers. Star forts laid out with impossible precision. Cathedrals whose acoustics felt more like instruments than shelters. What if, the wizard said, almost conversationally, these structures weren't symbolic at all? Jessica raised an eyebrow. You think they were functional. I think they were tuned. The wizard spoke of resonance, of geometry that guided energy rather than blocked it. Of civilizations that understood Earth not as a resource to extract from, but as a living circuit to collaborate with. Tartaria was not named outright, not yet. Names had a way of triggering defenses. But the idea moved freely between them. A lost infrastructure, dismantled not because it was useless, but because it made people independent. And if that's true, Jessica said quietly, then cryptids showing up near old structures makes sense. The wizard nodded. Same energy. Same thresholds. Same forgotten language. The third door, the sky entered the conversation without drama. No sudden music. No breathless declarations. Just patterns. The wizard spoke of growing up under Cold War shadows, when flying saucers were either enemy weapons or jokes, nothing in between. Jessica spoke of modern witnesses who didn't panic, didn't embellish, and didn't ask to be believed. They're not describing machines, she said. They're describing effects. Exactly, the wizard replied. Field behavior. Plasma containment. Resonant propulsion. Flying saucers weren't vehicles in the old sense. They were responses, to energy, to intention, to coherence. Maybe they're not visitors, Jessica offered. Maybe they're neighbors, the wizard finished, operating under physics we haven't been taught how to measure. The Roadshow had always known better than to demand disclosure from governments. Governments, after all, were just younger storytellers still afraid of their own audience. The fourth door time arrived the way it always does, unannounced. Not as clocks or calendars, but as experience. Missing hours. Memories that didn't line up but felt true. Witnesses who returned changed, not injured, not enlightened, just adjusted. What if time, the wizard said, isn't something we move through? Jessica waited. What if it's something that responds to alignment? Portals, then, weren't doors. They were agreements. Frequency matches. Moments when consciousness and environment briefly shook hands and said, yes. Now. The observer isn't passive, Jessica said. No, the wizard agreed. The observer may be part of the mechanism. The roadshow audience, listening from kitchens, trucks, night shifts, and lonely places, felt it then. That subtle shift when a story stops being entertainment and becomes a mirror. Why the wizard keeps traveling as the red light blinked its warning. Time nearly up. The wizard didn't rush the ending. He never did. There's a responsibility in telling these stories, Jessica said. Yes, the wizard replied. Fear closes doors. Curiosity opens them. They didn't ask for belief. They asked for attention. For humility. For a willingness to stand at the edge of the map without demanding it redraw itself around you. When the recording ended, the room felt larger than before. Another roadshow stop completed. Another chapter added, not to history, but to memory. Because the mystery was never meant to be conquered. Only approached. And the wizard, as always, packed lightly, carrying questions instead of answers, and moved on to the next thin place, where the world was still willing to whisper back.